Alright, folks. Welcome back. It is day 3 with HanziHero. 欢迎大家回来。今天是第3天。Right. Silly duo adding moto to everything. Well, you gotta get used to that moto. I really like the sound of moto most of the time. Moto. More and more. Okay. So yesterday we got Yoshi joined the club. Robin Hood joined the club. Being outside the house, right? Being outside the house. Electricity plant joined the club. Oh, Legolas also joined the club. Yeah, plenty of things. We're still gonna stick to whatever the default is, and we'll see where it happens. It looks like our review is up by 3, right? So let's see. Usually these are a little bit shorter because we're on the starting side of HanziHero. All right. Okay. We got our. This is paralleling Wanikani fairly interestingly. It's not a coincidence, by the way. It's largely not a coincidence. Finally getting to the HanziHero part. Yes. You haven't seen it yet? Oh, okay. So some of the writing in these sections are identical. I already explained why that could be a possible thing. So we got da. Here are all the sounds and components. All right. So we got an auditorium. Ooh, Dracula is coming to play. Oh, and this weird sound effect. I think replacing this sound effect might be something, in my opinion. It's kind of weirdly distorted and high frequency. Sometimes that can be a little bit jarring to headphone users. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of a low res stock sound from Sega, like the ring sound. It sounds like kind of a low res. It's slightly distorted, like it kind of clips a little version of like the ring sound from Sega when like Sonic the Hedgehog picks up a ring. So not the most pleasant sound. Perhaps changing that is the thing. It kind of startled me the first couple times, but now you're kind of expecting it. It's only in that instance right now. So, hey, so Dracula is D initial. It's got potential. Yes, it definitely got potential. I feel Duo is most definitely guilty of using the auditory dopamine stimulus, you know, using like normalized behavior to auditory things. You can't unhear it, and it's a very powerful aspect that one could leverage. I think Wanikani didn't lean on that, which that might be a developer's choice for not doing that. However, it is one of sound cues is easily one of the strongest outside of visual, right? Second to visual, but games do be hitting that sound cues really hard. Okay, so D sounds like D. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the Dada on Duel's 5 street correct answer I've noticed more prominently. Yeah. Da-da. 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 The trumpets. The D in the name Dracula is pronounced the same as his initial, so we choose Dracula to represent it. Dracula, also known as Count Dracula or just Dracula. I know it's Count Dracula, but it could be. I'm actually kind of curious if the Castlevania series ever referred to Dracula as Count Dracula. They might have, actually, now that I think about it. I'm thinking of Castlevania right now. is a vampire from the novel of the same name. He can turn others into vampires by biting them, and can also shapeshift into other creatures, such as a bat. Unless you watch anime, then Dracula can do whatever Dracula pleases. I'm alluding to a very specific anime series that features a certain Alucard. Here are some here are some example characters you will learn in the future. That includes the sound, the D initial. What do you have for us? Dan. The. Dao. The. Da. Sorry. Da. Dan. Dan da dan. You see what I did there? Not dan da dan, but dan da dan. Dan dan da dan. Dan da dan. Duo finally gave you 10,000. Oh, there it is. The 10,000 unit. Welcome to the 10,000 unit club. All right, so we got the initial. I'm getting used to their system now, so it's not as bad. It's not as shaky. I can like make commentary without losing my place. Earlier, I was having problems because when I talk a little too long, I forget what their notation is. So I'm getting acclimated now, which is nice because that allows me to form higher thoughts. Okay, as in final. So okay, da. Yeah. Auditorium, huh? Okay. The A in the English word auditorium sounds similar to this final, so we choose an auditorium to represent it. The front of the auditorium has the ticket booth and often a long line of customers in line waiting for their ticket. The lobby inside of the auditorium is quite large with red carpet for waiting before a show or at intermission, right? The basement of the auditorium has a bunch of old stage props and storage. The bathroom is quite fancy with some bathroom attendants standing by the sink with hard drying towels. Yeah, the one thing about their mnemonics that they're trying to do is they're doing one step forward because one of the characteristics of Chinese is that the pinyin, the sound, the read is not as eclectic, right? There's like a limited number of multiple reads as opposed to the norm. So they're trying to incorporate the mnemonics for the pinyin, the sound of the word, the representation of the word, with the mnemonics of the character read with the vocabulary. So all three of them ends up in one mnemonic as opposed to separate mnemonics for all the groups. So that's kind of something that they're setting up. So you have to get used to their notation and their way of setting up their mnemonics, because even their mnemonics are constructed into specific environments. So the pinyin typically deals with the subject and their location in the mnemonic, and then the component, which is the same, is kind of similar to radicals. The components are in the mnemonic with the vocabulary word, which would be the same, similar in the sense of the relationship between like the kanji like the kanji and the vocabulary word. So you kind of get used to that. And then the structure in the UI, you can see there's some similarities. Okay, so things with the N examples. So we have ba, xia, ba, da, xia, which I knew, xia, I knew all of these. Yeah, we're fine with all these. Pretty nice. All right, that's confirmation. So final, okay. Okay. So now this is the component. So blue is their component color. Wanikani's component colors are like gray, then purple, then red for the vocabulary. And theirs is red for the vocabulary too, but the components are blue, and the pinyin is light blue. Pinyin related things are light blue, which is down here. So it looks like a big star, perhaps formed by a person spreading their arms. Yep. Oh, this is slightly different. I like the big star thing. That's slightly different. Okay. Right. I don't know what tip is. Oh, tip looks interesting. Oh, it's small. Oh. Oh, and we're doing traditional now. So this is a traditional Mandarin course, which is more friendly to people outside of China. So diaspora of any sorts outside of China. And there is a simplified course. I'm not sure how I'm going to fit that into this thing right now. So we're going to use our simplified knowledge to figure out our traditional. Because the reason why I'm saying this is because tip is... Oh, that's not the same character. That's fine. No. I was thinking of something else. I'm not sure if that character is simplified. The character that I'm thinking of for tip. So, da, jian, tai. Yeah, tai stays the same. Interest. Good enough. Mei, yin, yin. No, that's the same too. So, we're doing big. Okay.
Da.
And then, of course, this is the vocabulary word. So, da, which shares the same component, the identical component. And then the sound components have Dracula, the auditorium, and in the bathroom. Tone 4 is bathroom. So it'll be something like Dracula went to the bathroom in the went to the auditorium's bathroom to discover to drop a big deuce. It was big indeed. I'm kidding, but that would be like a mnemonic. It's starting to sound like Clue, yeah, because you have to establish the character, where they are, and the location, and what act did they, like, what is the act? The detail comes at the end to include it. Dracula needs to go to the bathroom, okay? He ate a burrito from Taco Bell, and he just got to drop a big deuce, you know? What is their mnemonic? Dracula is in the bathroom of the auditorium looking at himself in a large full-length mirror, checking his attire before he goes to find his next victim among the audience. To his surprise, he finds that the middle of his tuxedo has a big blotch of blood from his last victim. Okay. Now this sounds like a story from Clue. This time they didn't add the component, but big and the component and the vocabulary word is the same. So sometimes you can have like peng, which is 2 moons. So they would say something like 2 moon companions. So 2 moons is ye, right? Or moon, right? Ski, right? 2 ski tomodachi or something. So that would remind you like there are 2 moons in friend or peng. So that's kind of how they go about it. Although this you only need big once because big, both of them are identical. That's probably why they chose that. So big blood stain on his tuxedo. Interesting. But you could see yourself making up your own mnemonics in this structure. I haven't done it in this way. This to me is something else that I do. This is another mnemonics technique that I do, and that's the Mind Palace version. Basically, when I go through my Mind Palace, it doesn't have to be like a castle or anything. If I walk through the house, right, I have to walk through the house a certain way, and I will see certain objects in the way. So all those objects represent the order in which I take my mnemonics. So whenever what happens here is you need a subject for the initial, and you need a location for the tone, or you need a specific like respective location for the tone, and the actual location within the actual location. So like, are you inside or outside or in a bathroom or in a specific place of another location, which auditorium is one of them here, or are you inside or outside of the house? They decided that a bathroom is something that you, how do they rationalize bathroom actually? So they chose roof for neutral because it's rare. You don't go to the roof too much. But I forgot what they use for bathroom. I'll have to remind myself why they chose bathroom. Tone 1. Tone 2 is inside the main room or a room. Tone 2 is inside the main. Tone 4, and then tone 1 is outside. Which I'm not sure what they use. I gotta remind myself why they rationalize that. The roof was tone 5, which is the neutral short tone, because you don't typically go to the roof. It's rare. Okay, here are examples of vocabulary words that contain this. Oh, there's otona. Otona. Is this just darin? Probably darin. Yeah, darin. Oh, interesting. I don't actually know. So that's li, right? Da li. Da li. Yes, da li. 大家, right? Everyone. 大家. 高大. 高大. Master. Oh wait. Oh, that's a traditional character. So the simplified character would be 师. So 大师. Yeah. 大师. Yeah, so this is a traditional character. The simplified version is it looks like D. It's this character instead. Like this. So I'm gonna, as I'm learning this, I'm also learning which characters are simplified. As an extra layer of engagement, I suppose. Okay. So the pronunciation is Dracula in the bathroom in the auditorium, right? Da.
Da.
And big blood stain. The fact that there's also simplified for some of these is wild. Yeah, so they the HanziHero guys decided to keep them separate. So you can actually do two separate things. You can take the simplified course or the traditional course. So they're gonna add both and then adjust for the simplified. So separate trackers for those. Yeah. The dev, Kevin, his name is Kevin, just plainly Kevin, nothing else to go on. Kevin currently resides in Taiwan. He is a transplant in Taiwan from Tampa, Florida. So, and his brother Phil is the second developer, and his brother Phil still resides in Tampa, Florida, apparently. And they're brothers. Kevin was the one who started learning Mandarin. There's no like disclosure or share of what his actual cultural background is and whatnot, and like motivations for interest, other than Kevin's very interested. He moved to Taiwan, right? For that. And his brother is by extension interested in this because it was more of a coding project at first. Kevin approached his brother to work on HanziHero, and then now foreseeably both of them are using the product that they very well developed themselves for reinforcement. Kevin is, I guess, more, I don't know how far Kevin's Mandarin is. We know that oh no, Phil, we don't know how far Mandarin Phil is, but as far as I am concerned, Kevin is literate. Like, how did he pretty much like literate enough to do most of this stuff, right? I don't know how far it is or whatnot, not disclosed, but yep. Ugh. Oh, this is not the armless child. This is the child with the arm. What did this sound like? Can you say that again? Whoops. That's not what I meant to do. I'll just keep going. Zelda? Why would you choose a Zelda? Alright, fine. Man, I thought Duolingo was the only one to try to advertise Nintendo stuff. But man, for the record, Zeruda. Yeah, Zeruda was the choice for introducing or associating the vocabulary word legendary or legend. Densetsu. Right, Densetsu. So Zeruda, not sponsored by the way. But they ended up choosing Zelda as well. What other Z names? What other proper nouns with Z would you be able to pick in the first place? That's topical nowadays outside of Zelda. This might sound a little old hat, but maybe Zed, the music, the song composer, because Zed's pretty topical. Zed's still making like collaborations and stuff, even for like anime music and whatnot. So Zed is pretty topical, but Zelda, yeah, that's probably what I could come up with too. Not a lot of many Z pronouns or proper nouns. So the Z sound in Pinyin is pronounced quite similarly to the what? That's how that sound. The sound. What does that mean? For example, this in the word odd or kids. Not quite sure if I would pick those. When it comes to like the pronunciation thing, it's a little off because I guess they're trying to find stuff, but interesting. Okay, the name Zelda also begins with a Z, so we choose Zelda to represent this initial, even though Z in Zelda is pronounced differently from this initial. Fair enough. Or Princess Zelda is the titular character in The Legend of Zelda video game series. She often has magical spiritual power and assists Link in helping defeat Ganon. It's amazing when you can summarize a decade-long video game series with one sentence. Nintendo, folks. Obviously, that's this would be reductive, talking about just the goal, right? As opposed to the process. It's the adventure along the way that makes Legend of Zelda series so memorable. And the Ganon fight, but a lot of it is the rest of the game. Zao, zao, zi, zi, zao, ze, zi. Okay.
Z.
Okay. And then 3. What are we getting for bed? The basement. Ah, the loading. Oh, maybe that's why they chose. No, I don't know. Actually, I don't remember what the thing is for the other tones. Why they chose bathroom for 4. So we got the basement. This kind of makes sense. The tone is low. It feels just a smidgen and may sound creaky due to its low pitch, right? Naturally associated with lower place basement. Oh yeah. 5、9、口、不、骨, right? 3. All right. This is the child, not the armless child that is the or le. Sorry. Imagine a child standing on the side with its arms stretched out. It looks just like this character here with the angled stroke above, the horizontal stroke representing a head of sorts, and the vertical stroke underneath representing a leg or two. Right? 孩子, but just 子. Interesting. A hole. I have no idea what a hole is. Hole. 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 How. And hole. Where's that hole? It's hole. Okay. Child. Alright. And then of course. So what? Zelda? Oh yeah, and house is none. No final. So Zelda is in someone's house basement chilling with the kiddos. Zelda is in the basement of the house. She's been trapped there since she was a child. Well, that got dark. Every couple of days, she cries out at the top of her lungs for Ganon to let her out because she is not a child anymore, and her entire life is wasting away. Wow, that's kind of dark. That's very, very dark. Holy heck. 日子 really 日子孩子 oh no oh 子女 really 子女电子位子 oh, that type of seed 位子 that's a very concerning. Yeah, I went from 0 to 100 real quick. Yeah, concerning. That kind of reminds me of the Rapunzel thing, right? The Rapunzel thing, but in a really maybe a little bit more straightforward thing, but still the Rapunzel thing is kind of mean too, but oh, I got dark. 车子 yeah, 车子 okay, pronunciation. So we just do 字 and okay. All right, quiz time. All right. So component name, I think we still stick with big. Child, still component name. Sound, auditorium is final, right? Zelda is the initial. And Dracula is D initial. The pronunciation, so the character meaning. Da. So Dracula in the bathroom of the auditorium. Right.
大
Big. Basement. Basement is the floor. Low. T. 3. So 3. Oh. Oh, I think I still click on... I still get 3. Okay. So now we got more lessons. As of unlock. Chu. Chu. Sorry. Chu. Alright. Chucky from Rugrats? Wait, is this Chucky from Rugrats or Chucky the Mean Dolly? Oh no, wait. Chucky the Mean Dolly has IE, right? It's spelled with IE. I don't actually know if Chucky from the Rugrats is spelled with a Y or an IE. Or Chuck E. Cheese? Wait, no. Is Chuck E. Cheese spelled with an IE? Which Chucky is it? Let's find out.
出
Okay, Chu. Alright, Chucky. Chu. Not Chucky, unfortunately. That doesn't work. But that's fine. It's similar to English word Chu, yeah. The name Chucky begins with the letters Chu, so we choose it to represent. Chucky is a... Oh, it's the demonic doll. Yep. It's a demonic doll that possessed by the soul of a serial killer. He is often seen wielding a large kitchen knife to kill unsuspected victims that purchase them. Oh, IE? Okay, so Chucky is spelled with IE, and then Chucky with the Y is the murder doll. Okay. Dang. Man. Here are some examples. Like, say, Chuan. Chuan. Chu. Like, Jing Chu. Chu. That. Oh, wait, it's this one. And this is. Oh. This is Chu. What is this? Foundation. Interesting. And then Chu, like middle, beginning. Or oh, that's why it's Chu, Zhong. Oh, beginning to middle. Ah, that makes sense now. Oh, and that makes sense for the Japanese version too. Shou, Shouxinsha, and Saishou. Okay. Chui.
吹
Interesting. Chui. Instead of Hua. Chui. Interesting. Alright. Chucky, that's Chu initial.
出
Okay. Alright. Mountain component. It's a sketch of a mountain with 3 peaks, the large ones in the middle. Yeah. Got it. I got it. Mountain. Alright. And then, yeah, to exit. Cool. To beat? Does that look familiar to me? Zi. It's not da. Like, it's not like a da like. Okay. Secret. Me. Oh, we got this character already. And it didn't change. It's the same character. In Mima. For password. Mima. So it makes sense. Me. The me is secret. Password. And to diverge. I don't have this one. Cha. Huh. Okay. Mountain. Or component name.
出
Ooh, okay. Which has double mountains. It's a double rainbow all the way. And then, so Chu, we have Chu for initial. So Chucky, we're in a house or outside of a house because it's tone 1. So Chucky is outside of a house in the mountains or hiking to the mountains. Chucky is in front of the house, which has 2 large mountains in front, and where one can exit from. Chucky waits between the two mountains, waiting for people to exit the house and walk between them, where he plans to pounce on them and kill them. To unalive them. To unalive them. Sorry. Okay. Fair enough. To exit. I gotta remember to type 2. Okay. To take out. Speaking of to take out, oh. That's nah. Oh yeah. It's hard to see with a heckin' stripe patterns. Yeah, na chu. Na chu to take out. Chu. Xian. Qi xian. Qi xiang. Qi xian. Yeah, qi xian. Qi. Qi. 走，去走，去门。Oh yeah, like oh right. Right. Right, simplified. This is not simplified. This would be one that is not simplified. Outstanding. What the heck? 去来把锤把锤 huh. I'll have to hear that in the future. I don't know about that one. Chucky outside of the house.
出
And waiting at the exit. And gotta be careful here to not get it confused with expecting a what's it called? Okurigana, right? Okurigana in Japanese to indicate whether it's a predicate or not, or a verb or not, because Chinese doesn't have that. Hey. Component name, mountain. Chu.
出
Chu outside.
出
That's it for all the lessons. Now we have 13 reviews. All right, let's do our reviews. Yoshi, so that's Y initial.
一
E. Robin Hood is R initial.
日
Electricity plant is a place, so it's a final. Component. I think this is still called ground as the component. E. This is Yoshi outside of the house, right?
一
One. Roof is tone 5. Roof is neutral. This is La 5. Legolas is on the roof. Legolas is on the roof of the house.
了
La 5. Character meaning, I think we go with did. Yes. And then initial, la initial. Oh. Is it just la? Oh. It's not outside the house. Is Legolas on top of the roof of the electricity plant? Not. So it's just la, like L initial. And then infirmary was N. Oh, was it the electricity plant? Or was it the infirmary? Oh no, infirmary was something else. Yeah, this is final, and
N,
and then outside is 1. Component name, armless child. Guess we do person.
L,
Okay. So we do 人, which was Robin Hood in the infirmary. The heck? Where does 2 come from? Oh, it's it inside? No, that's... Yeah, that inside. Yeah, inside. So Robin Hood is inside the infirmary stealing things for to give to someone, right? Inside is 2. Inside the men
人
人 and person still. The heck? I'm being held back by Legolas. That's not what you typically hear when you're learning Chinese, right? I got held back by Legolas. Okay. So let me see how this forecast works. So it's still Thursday, so I have 12 review for tomorrow. Yeah. Ooh, we're seeing words. Oh, these are characters still. Okay, so characters are still the Hanzi characters. We still got words, yeah, the compound words. Oh, so that's why they reserved another color. Okay, so now there's another layer. Okay. So this is still the whole kanji leading to vocabulary words. Words and kanji are separate. Hanzi and words are separate, and then the components that make up the characters happens to be also characters that make up the words. Like the characters are potentially words themselves as well. Okay. So we still have that. All right, let's see. Let's do our little quick diagram of our new stuff, right? That was from yesterday. Okay, so and then we're gonna switch over to Duolingo for some time for Japanese today. So we have auditorium, 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 Zelda, basement, heckin' Legolas, Dracula, and Chucky. All right. And then we're big, mountain, and then child. So, 字, right? 字, I mean, 字, right? 字. Yeah, 字. Actually, we should use numbers. No. I'm gonna use this representation. 字, ga, ga, 出, right? And so, in order to get 字, we have Zelda is in the basement, is locked in the basement of a house house is this to get to. Then to get Da, we have Dracula is in the bathroom. Dracula, bathroom. Zone 4, bathroom. This is house. And oh, and this was Zelda locked in the basement as a child, right? Or not a child anymore now. Very dark. Then Dracula in the bathroom having bathroom of the auditorium. Discovered a big. Oh, I totally missed the. For the house. And you have the child as a child, but she is not a child anymore, right? And Dracula finding a big blood stain on his tuxedo. And we have Chucky. Chucky is outside. So the house. The house with 2 mountains. 2 mountains. Waiting for people to exit. To pounce and unalive them. Yes. Those are our mnemonics for our new lessons for today. Yep. Legolas was L. So Legolas was on the roof. Oops. On the roof. Oops. 5. On the roof. The roof was on the roof. Of the electricity plant. Electricity plant. Yes, you could use power plant, but power plant starts with a P. Where he an armless child. This one gets a little dark too. This armless child. So, armless child. Scuffed his boots and he pushed the child off the roof, where the child lands on a soft patch. And people were shocked that he did that. And the did is the la. That one was very out of character, but it also got very dark too. I'm starting to sense a theme here where a lot of the mnemonics is very dark. And that's what you get la from. That's the one that I messed up. Okay. Well, there you have it. Short and simple. Usually the HanziHero one takes a little bit to ramp up, but I think overall this one is, so we get 10 lessons every day, right? The reason why it feels like Wanikani is longer is because you can click on advance and then you can keep on increasing the lessons. So right now we might consider possibly This one is fun mnemonics. Yeah, so it's because I feel like it is building construction. Like the construction and the mnemonics are longer and more elaborate and whatnot. And that's what Kevin said. Like, so Kevin said one of the things that they want to do differently is to build even more elaborate mnemonics, right? As opposed to so this is where this comes in with the whole like Duolingo versus a graded reader, right? Duolingo versus graded reader, comprehensible input, that type of thing. So now you're seeing that because they're forcing, or quote, Kevin is going out of his way to create mnemonics that connects all of the things into one. You have to become more creative and more elaborate. And the more elaborate it is, and you are introduced to the components, you yourself can become a creator of those components, right? So in a way, this is also inspiring one to look at mnemonics as components, and those mnemonics can help go a long way to inspiring people to develop their own mnemonics. In terms of the way Wanikani presents how mnemonics work, they're one-to-one. So it's kind of like Duolingo in the sense of if the sentences are too simplistic, it's difficult to be creative in order to learn grammar, right? That kind of thing. So Wanikani is still on, while at the same time it's very compartmentalized, it's organized. This one can be, we'll see where it goes, but ultimately they're setting up so that the pinyin system that they have set up for this, like these things, it has an upper limit. You'll finish the pinyin all to cover most of the pinyin components at some point, and then all of this will become a factory to build all your components and your characters and your words with, which it's excellent exercise. It's an excellent mental exercise. Now, you can still do this with Wanikani. You can still do this with Japanese characters. So these are two slightly, like, it's a divergent design cue. And it goes without saying that without a doubt, because of the availability of the licensing or something of Wanikani, lots of the stuff that you're seeing is built upon Wanikani and physics and the available things. These guys are relatively newer to the line. The updates and the community board goes back a little over 2 years. Meanwhile, like Wanikani and Tofuku even goes back more than 10 years, like more than 15 years probably. Oh no, more than almost 15 years now. So you have the streamline, experience versus with many years of experience versus the new kid on the block trying to do more and iterate on things, which is great because that's kind of the balance between the two stages, right? By the way, all this is customizable, so you can tell the SRS how many lessons you want to actually do, up to 40. They actually put an upper limit, much like Wanikani, but Wanikani is a little bit more vigorous about its limitations. This is set to 10 lessons a day. However, if you're a long time subscriber, which I have a lifetime license to this, by the way, you can set 40, and once it reaches a certain level, it goes back down to 20 lessons a day. And then the review is a different stack. So the review is a different stack. And they also have other customizations, like you can skip things, you can focus things. And that's kind of the idea of a newer developer. They're taking a lot of ideas and they're constantly editing and adding new features until they refine their thing. So Wanikani, I would have thought by now, over these 14 years, they probably have answered this question and they decided not to implement certain things due to their experience, right? So some functionality might come and go in this development process, but it definitely shows what are other things that a newer developer would want to test out. So Originally they actually test out a different algorithm, by the way, but for all intents and purposes, what's under the hood is probably a modified SM2 or a modified Anki SRS. So if you're using HanziHero and Wanikani, they're outside of the mnemonics, as in the developers created stuff. Your experience in terms of the mechanical SRS is probably going to be very similar to Anki, which I've expressed my sentiments about already. I like experiencing things. I spend my time experiencing other people's products. If I were doing and experiencing myself, then I myself would customize the product. So for now, this is the closest thing to the Anki experience that I can give as a rebuttal to people who constantly ask, oh, do I use Anki? It's like, no, I don't use Anki, but I do use Anki, right? The same, but different, right? This is Anki. It's built on the Anki SRS system. And then that's where Anki stops. Anki stops at that. And then when you select your deck, you're talking about understanding the person and the product. Well, for me, I think someone who is going to bet their credibility in their life on a product that is like at this level, I like to see where it goes. I also appreciate that both Wanikani and HanziHero, again, I want to reiterate this. This came up again about the streaming thing, streaming content and creating content. Both of these products echo the Creative Commons Zero universal license. It's a big deal to me. It's a really big deal to me. Not when it comes to content creation, I read the terms of service or whatever is available publicly. And if I have some general concerns, I would actually try to reach out to the developers. In this case, stating that Creative Commons Zero universal would state that you have permission without explicit permission. That is something that came up earlier when someone said about streaming, like potentially streaming other things like Boon Pro. And in Chinese case, I would think a really great one is Pleco. Pleco is the Boon Pro kind of overlapping a source. Pleco to Chinese as Bunpo is to Japanese. And I would totally be open if the peeps just approach me and say like, oh yeah, you know what, that's perfectly fine. You can iterate, commentate, and use it. I don't think that's the case for those two, especially when they don't explicitly even show it on their terms of service. Like they're kind of nebulous. Whenever I see, in my opinion, a terms of service that's very trite and very general, like, oh, all copyright infringements and intellectual properties are the generalized type of terms of service you expect. I'm like, what is it? Because I need to see it. I need to see the explicit details of the terms of service. When I'm playing video games and consuming subscriptions, that's perfectly fine. Like it's not like I'm gonna go and like I can't do anything without these things. So like Google, I accept your terms of service, that kind of thing. In this case though, I get to make a decision, right? I get to make a decision. Not that these are laws. I have to re-emphasize, at least from my lack of professional ability, like law, I'm not a lawyer. However, the legalese would suggest that it's still subjected to change because that type of Creative Commons is a pledge. It's a statement of purpose, not a potentially legal binding thing. So terms of service can change over time. Although I don't expect Wanikani to change their stance, being that they've been around for more than a decade, and that might have been even added later, because I can't imagine how many emails they would have saying, hey, I love your product, can I stream it? I love your product, can I review it? Like, it doesn't matter, like, can I buy and review this product? And they probably got a lot of those questions, and having a Creative Commons statement that alleviates a lot of specific explicit permissions that you have. And Zero Universal is the most loose of all of them. It's a statement that this is for the betterment. To me, how I read it is these guys put education first. If they make money along the way, that's awesome because it sustains their way to reach out to people. But their product, you can if you can construct something like this, you can code and stuff, you can iterate on this in any way you want. Like short of like, stealing their source code. That's a different story. That's theft. But if you can recreate this in your own way with your own source code and whatnot, feel free. Right. So there's no limitations, there's no attributions or fear of copyright infringement. Again, TOS is subject to change, but for the time being, the language that they use for their terms of service represents a lot like Wanikani. So that's where I glean that it's no coincidence that there are parallels between Wanikani and this, because Wanikani gives no limits as well. So when people go around and say, well, this product is exactly like Wanikani, it's a cookie cutter thing. It's like, well, have you ever considered the idea that the company or the owner or the IP doesn't go and attack people who take inspiration from them and then produce the same thing? If you know what I mean. So it goes two ways. There are more than, it's not even two ways, but there are way more ways to look at this. When a product becomes popular and everyone's imitating it, how is that allowed, right? Well, it's very efficacious, probably, or it's very useful in some way. That's why it's popular. But at the same time, how are so many people making similar things? Well, it's probably not trademarked or copyright aggressively, nor did the original people who popularized it, pursue copyright infringement. Nintendo. So, sorry, I had a bad. I'm starting to develop a cold. So that's kind of the thought behind it. And when people, in my opinion, when entitled consumers get to the idea like, diminishing the value of a parental IP, largely because there are other examples of this parental IP, I think that's doing a disservice a lot of times for the originators, the ones that create standardization. I know it's like it can be very dull or kind of mundane or boring when you see a product go like viral and it sets a new standard, but Duolingo is one that did set a standard. So whenever people review other things following like Duolingo and Babbel and whatnot, you hear these like cheapened remarks in reviews like, oh, it's just another cookie cutter program. It's like every other cookie cutter program. It's like, oh, okay. I kind of want to know which one was the original cookie. Actually, or the original cutter. But you know what I mean. And in this case, same but different, right? Same but different. And it's more like same but different, and then sometimes same. And that's what makes this opportunity really cool. I'm gonna go on a limb here and just or gonna tease ahead. In 2026, I am unlikely going to look for a Spanish Wanikani, because I actually have a different perspective on Spanish. I actually think with the language learning abilities and mnemonic constructions that you bring to Duolingo, I actually think Duolingo Spanish is perfectly sufficient to reach an intermediary level in which you can immerse yourself. So no Spanish Wanikani. Because I actually think Duolingo is able to get you to a stage in which then you'll be consuming products and be reinforced that way. This, for me, is largely due to the nature of reading. So like the character development. Spanish, we do not have that as English speakers who use Roman characters, right? Not as big of an incentive. Although, obviously, I'm saying likely the case. I could be convinced if there was a Spanish version of this, because I would love to see how Spanish mnemonics work. Like someone, if there's someone out there, if you really, really love Spanish and you want to tell a full-fledged story through like this component mnemonic system to teach like conjugation and stuff, I'm all for it. Other than that, I really actually earnestly do believe that Duolingo is excellent in terms of, without even touching it actually, at the moment. I think Duolingo is sufficient and probably well above average to achieve the Spanish progress. Reminding me I need to check how my progress is with the graded readers. Yeah. Occasionally from time to time I go back to graded readers to check. But that's kind of the idea. I want to emphasize that the reason why I invested in HanziHero and Wanikani is that these are the things that I do to reinforce, to practice when I want something unnatural, as in these are spot checkers. Wanikani and HanziHero are spot checkers for a lifetime. Spot checkers is a very contextually not as friendly way of going about reviewing. However, because of mnemonics and stuff, I'm getting something else in return. I'm getting the developers' interest in return. That's far more than what I would engage with if I used Anki. Anki would be a way to perpetuate my own brainstorming, which I will do in the future when I'm immersing. But when you're learning in this type of way, you're immersing in the design of someone else's thing and then trying to bring it into your own way of studying. I think thinking that you can only study a certain way and looking for a product that way is something I do not resonate with. I don't like the idea when I go into something and I'm thinking, I'm going to learn something. It's like, well, if I'm going to learn something, I'm going to learn whatever it is that other people are doing, because learning itself is an active process on its own. So when I go to school, I don't complain. It can be a good thing. Like I said to Jiao, when you do complaints, my goal is to turn that complaint into a demonstrative thing where you can be proactive about it. So when I go to school, I could hate school originally. I probably did hate school originally because of other reasons, but I make do. And that is kind of the problem solving that I think of when I'm taking the opportunity of doing this. What do I like more than learning a language? Solving problems. So what can problems be? In the form of challenges. So Duolingo is inefficient in many ways. I got to find ways to sufficiently augment that while understanding the perspective of Duolingo's design. It's not to say that I can evaluate its quality or, objectively or subjectively. It's that it's a challenge. It's a thing that I can practice because my favorite thing to do is problem solving. Right? New graded reader spelled out in kata, not hira. I didn't register what it was saying. Yeah. Ooh, animal things? Yeah. I seen kitsune represented in both too. And I'm like, oh, well. Earlier on, I think, what was it? I'm pretty sure it was Lotus who told me about, like, there is sort of a loose rule of animals that are indigenous to Japan and animals that are not, and they can be named based on using kata or hira. But that kind of falls by the wayside when we look at all the exceptions. So a lot of times from the edgy modernization, usually it's typeset. So when you see like manga books, different books and stories, it deals with typeset. So what looks nice a lot of times, especially manga, like people like to read manga. So manga deals with stylistic typesets. So if the katakana just looks like, yeah, or we'll switch to hirakana. Or sometimes it'd be like, you know what, we'll use this rare kanji, or and maybe we'll use kanji because it fits better or it looks better, that kind of thing. So that's more of an edgy, topical, contemporary take on it. So if you're looking at, if you're immersing and you're picking up like media and stuff, it's like, wait a minute, why did they write it in this? And why did they write in this? It can be typeset. If I could get my hands on a manga that's not just translated, I would be happy. Oh, interesting. A non-translated manga. You can probably find them, right? Anyways, we gotta switch to Duolingo Japanese. So we're gonna iron out 2 hours. Yeah, we're gonna try 2 hours. Okay, so that's a wrap for HanziHero. I'll be back with HanziHero tomorrow. You're gonna watch this later? 谢谢. Right? Until next time. I don't think we're gonna find a lot of HanziHero enthusiasts because this one does not show up in a lot of lists. When you're I was perusing and doing my research, it's very, very low impact factor. So I'm happy to be able to use this and do this in a way, in the context of something relevant, like that have a higher impact factor, like Wanikani. For the record, Wanikani does not have a high impact factor as well. Like impact factor is what I adopted from. I forgot about this term until I started talking about science again because of Jiao and university life. In science, there's this thing called impact factor. It's it that evaluates the. It's a combination of a lot of metrics, but usually what it tries to measure is how much exposure does a piece of publication have, and journals are evaluated based on the impact factor. So when you manage to land and publish in specific journals, the prestigiousness of and reach of that journal is measured by its impact factor. And then that impact factor then trickles down to the paper's impact factor. So in this case, neither of these, both Wanikani and HanziHero, are exceptionally having high impact factor. They don't even break into the top 10 in any language in general. And you might be wondering, so who are in the top 10? Most language learning apps that have more than one language. Yeah, these are specialized. So specialized apps can end up on other lists, like Chinese and Japanese specific lists. In that case, Wanikani and HanziHero still don't usually end up on those lists. So these two are fairly low impact factor. In fact, when it comes to Duolingo's exposure, Duolingo is nearly like on an entire, like 10 times order of magnitude higher in impact factor. So we have to keep that in mind. Not a lot of people will probably share some enthusiasm. However, it means the world then to raise interest in these things. And I actually like that these products exist. I'm surprised that, or maybe not so, it's early days still. I have yet to encounter an Anki user who says, why would you pay for this when you can do it all in Anki? I have not gotten that yet, that comment, but I'm kind of sort of expecting it at some point. And obviously I've already built my routine in explaining what I'm paying for. I'm not paying for the Anki SRS, but although one could argue that's what you're paying for when you're using HanziHero and Wanikani, I don't pay for the unadulterated mechanical inhuman parts. I pay humans because humans made these things possible. It would be interesting to hear what the devs of Anki have to say about that, because Anki probably has the same clause. So it's like, hey, we love making educational things, we have a lot of things, and users can make the deck, and hey, if you want to use our algorithm and stuff, you can implement it. And that's why, in my opinion, why HanziHero's developer was able to implement the current algorithm, SRS algorithm from Anki when people asked, and they just implemented it. So as far as I know, maybe with a slight modification here, HanziHero operates with the Anki SRS. So if I'm feeling creative, I'll use Anki. But right now, I'm not feeling particularly creative. I feel more like I want to see other people's creativity and build upon that. In a way, I'm being creative in a different sense, but not in the sense that I want to make my own decks yet. Or download someone very impersonal, right? At least in my opinion. All right. So until next time, 下次见, right? And I'm gonna get up, walk around a little bit, stretch for the second time. I'll be back to try to do some Duolingo practice because I am kind of behind, but I'm doing a lot in the background. So, thank you.